but yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GateCrashers, your newest podcast, live show, whatever you want to call it. We are here to talk all about Beyond the Gates. My name is Vinny. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Angela and Kim, and we have another face with us today. You might remember him from the podcast-a-thon back in November. Donald Peebles is joining us today. Donald, how are you today? How was your holiday?
Hello, everyone. It's glad to be back with my soap opera family. My holiday was good, actually. I spent it catching up on episodes 20 to 38 of Beyond the Gates. I started Saturday night, and I watched weeks 5 and 6, and Sunday, all day Sunday, Easter Sunday, I spent watching weeks 7 to 8. So I'm current, I'm up to date, and I'm so ready to talk about Beyond the Gates. I love the show. Oh.
Awesome. Kim, how about you? How was your weekend? How was your week? How was your Easter, your holiday?
Had a lovely holiday. I went over and spent some time with a friend of mine and her family. Did church, brunch, Easter dinner, whole 9 yards. Had a lovely time. And I didn't binge like as many episodes as Donald did, but I'm all caught up with Beyond the Gates now too. I just finished today's episode a little while ago, and we were just saying how it felt like it felt like it flew by today.
Yeah.
It went very quickly today but I don't know. I still like smiling about the karaoke scene. That was such a highlight for me.
Awesome. And Angela, how about you? How was your week? For those of you who didn't watch Suds News, you do have some big news to announce. So we'll get that.
I do
right
have
out the bat.
news. So my week was great. Easter was great. Spent with the family, which is always fun. And I didn't have to cook. My sister-in-law did, which was great. And today I signed my contract with Sharon Tharp, LLC, to freelance for Parade Magazine.
Yay.
Covering soaps.
Yay.
So
Which is
exciting.
very exciting. And it's also exciting. I was just making a post on Twitter. One of the things I was so excited about, that this magazine that has been around for so long, started in the 40s.
Oh my goodness.
This is the first time they're covering soap news.
What?
Wow.
That's great news for us.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Really,
because they were, for so long they were in the Sunday paper. That's what they were.
Mm-hmm.
They were inserted in the Sunday paper with movie reviews and things like that.
Yeah.
Soaps weren't as big. I mean, I'm sure they mentioned them here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
with Luke
but it
and Laura,
wasn't
they're really like massively big things. This is the first time they're really delving into doing a lot of soap news. And I think that is just the best indicator of the resurgence I think soaps are experiencing, which is fabulous.
Yes.
For us fans.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? That they want to devote time and money and website space to this shows that they see worth in it.
Yeah.
And it's not just me. She's hiring a team. One of them was also Jonathan, Soap Wiki John. And I'm sure there are others. She's putting a team together to do this. So that's commitment. It's commitment that's good news for soap fans.
Definitely.
Yes. Because the naysayers always say how at any moment this sweet summer dream will all end. And I yell from the rooftops that they're not going anywhere anytime yet.
No.
And I get shouted down because people think the Nielsen's are the be all and end all when it comes to ratings. But I'm like, you are wrong. And this shows that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, exactly. But very much so, congratulations to Angela for that. It's going to, and again, I've said it before, rising tide raises all ships. So the fact that the soap genre has given a boost to, Beyond the Gates has given a boost to the soap genre, but also the periphery of soap genre as well. Found out today, for those of you who don't know, WrestleMania was also this weekend in Las Vegas. So I was watching that. You probably saw me live Saturday night and Sunday night after both nights of WrestleMania. As part of Chairshot Media Group, we were talking all about each night of WrestleMania from Legion Stadium, and absolutely a fantastic event. Wasn't the worst, wasn't the best, but either way, John Cena captured his record-setting 17th World Championship in the main event against Cody Rhodes. I will say it right here, right now, I cannot stand Travis Scott. I do not, I don't know why he was even involved with the main event, but that's neither here nor there. But we did find out today that Mike Manning, who plays Smitty, he is a wrestling fan. And he was behind the scenes at Monday Night Raw earlier today. He's probably sitting there now as it's going on live on Netflix. Of course, I used it for a plug for tonight's show. But either way, he was showing that he's a wrestling fan. So it's great. You can always tell the genres are very, very, very similar, as evidenced by the fact that Suds and Squared Circle talks about both wrestling and soap operas. So,
Vinny, if you happen to be in attendance, I'm not sure, is Mike Manning on deck for the Samantha's Friends event that you're attending? Because
that's what I was thinking about today when I found out. So I'm going to talk to him when I go down in September. So
that'll be cool. You'll have soaps and wrestling same time over drinks. Oh, that's going to be fabulous.
Exactly. But either way, we're here to talk about Beyond the Gates, the fantastic new soap opera on CBS and Paramount Plus. And I'm telling you that, this show has throwbacks to every soap opera. We've seen the hospital scene, we've seen the fashion scene, we've seen the law scene and everything. So there's just every soap trope in there. There are secrets that are going to be coming out during May sweeps, which start this coming Thursday. So we'll see what secrets are going to be revealed. We also know that there's a recast of Ted, so that'll be coming up at some point. We don't know the final air date for Maurice. Of course, I can't think of his name. Maurice Johnson. And the new guy taking over. We don't know the exact dates, but they're coming up pretty soon because it was announced that the recast was close to 2 or 3 weeks ago, if not longer. So, anyways, seeing as you're our guest here, Donald, I want to ask you, how have you been liking Beyond the Gates? Now, you went to the preview event at the Paley Art Center, didn't you?
Yes, I went to the Paley Center NYC on February 20th, a few days before its premiere on CBS. And I was able, that was where Tamara Tooney, Daphne Duplay, and Sheila Ducksworth were on the panel talking with Vladimir Duthiers. I don't know how you say his last name from CS this morning, talking about Beyond the Gates, and we were able to see the sneak peek of the first episode. And I mean, we were in the audience like, what? And I was able to meet a lot of other soap opera Twitter. I met I spoke to one of the writers. I spoke to two of the writers, Cheryl Davis, who follows me on we're friends on Facebook, and I was able to meet Danielle Page. And I met Candace Mack. I wanted to meet Candace Mack forever. And Stephanie Guilleris. I don't know how you say her last name, but I was able to meet, and I did not know until I got home.
Bold and Beautiful.
No, she's a journalist and a soap opera fan. Stephanie, oh my goodness.
Oh, okay, never mind. I was thinking the girl who plays Eric's wife. Yeah.
And
Sorry, my bad.
and
It's
it's
late.
all right. So we good. And I did not know that I met Roger Newcomb. I was like, wow, so many, and Scott Stickles. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in good company. But anyway, I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying the ride. And I watched it live that day because I stayed home. I watched it live again on CBS, and I love it. I mean, it will be 2 months. It'll be 2 months this week. I'm loving everything that I'm seeing. It's very refreshing, and I'm still gagging that this became official. It's like, oh my God, it's like I love all of the nuggets Sheila Ducksworth spoke about at the panel. There's just so many little nuggets, and when they showed Welcome to the Neighborhood, which was so smart from CBS, very smart move for them to do, and just all these nuggets. So when I'm tweeting, I'm like, I'm listening to the dialogue because you got to listen to the dialogue. Those are where the nuggets are. And I'm looking around on the sets. Oh, those sets are gorgeous. 27 sets. And the fact that this show is taped 3 months in advance. And I'm going to tell you, I am so in love with the show. And I am so, like Angela was saying, I am just so tired of the people on Twitter. Oh, the ratings. The ratings.
There are already haters out there.
Like,
Johnny Gates is so new, and it's like there are already people that are, turning off. And it's like we're at the time now where they're getting into their groove. They had their honeymoon period. They're in their groove. And Angela, let me know that she had it slated for about this time frame where they hit their stride. Yeah. I thought it was a little further, but either way, it's coming into its own.
Right.
And you gotta love, and I know you've mentioned on Twitter a lot, is the product placement of the Procter and Gamble products.
Yes.
Whether it's a Febreze,
I adore it.
Yes,
I
it's
love it.
Yeah.
It is embracing the origins of soap operas.
Yes.
This is why they were made. Yes. And this is such I love it. Yeah. I do. I absolutely love it. I'd love to see them all doing it, quite frankly, because it really embraces where we came from as soaps. You know what I mean? It just really, that's one of the reasons I love the audio soaps, because they're like a throwback to how soaps started on radio.
Yes.
On radio. Yeah, definitely.
And I love that's that's now a medium that we can enjoy them with. And it never even really occurred to people in the 80s and the 90s to start listening to radio things, that kind of stuff before. But then I think with the rise in audiobooks.
Yes.
Yep.
People are like, wait a minute. Yeah. Yep.
Audiobooks, podcasts, there's definitely that medium for it now. And you've got, just people on Twitter that just soap Twitter, just like managing to collaborate and just kind of find like soap veterans to get involved, and people that, it's so cool just to see how.
There's a new audio soap that's starting, Montecito, that has, M. Ryland and Rick Hurst and Kelly Tebow, and just all these hard-hitting, top-notch, soap actors in an audio drama. And Forever in a Day is great too. I know it's wrapping up relatively soon, but I actually didn't even find out about it until 6 months ago, and I ended up binging all these seasons in a row, and I'm finally caught up.
I had a similar journey with that.
Candace they're starting a new one as well. Candace is starting a new one.
Threads of Time.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, the soap genre in general is strong, and it had its downtime. There were a lot of soaps that were canceled, and maybe that was just a sign of the times. And I think they ended up biting themselves in the foot by putting all these different news shows and talk shows. And I said it. I was a fan of the Chew. Not that I necessarily wanted the soap opera taken off of it. I was a fan of the Chew. But the fact is, when they turn it into another Good Morning America 3, even though it's Good Afternoon America or whatever, there's no reason for it. It's too much, especially in today's landscape where there's so much, dissension among society. There's no reason for it. The escapism, and that's what soap operas provide.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. My biggest issue with the Chew was the name of it.
It took away all my children. I will forever hold a grudge. I will forever hold a grudge. I never watched one episode of it, and I'm just, nope. The title alone, the title was really bad, though. I remember even seeing like that was the replacement.
I was just
like, really, guys? Like,
Chew.
come on.
That's just,
They should have gone with the dish, but
the dish would have been good.
But I'm a huge fan of Michael Simon. I love cooking shows. One of the only reasons why I got Discovery Plus was for Everything Food Network. So, I did like it. But regardless, like I said, I think that the pop culture talk show has run its course. And now
people want those, like, that narrative, those stories, the escapism, just as you said, and just being able to kind of like, see just the fact that a soap was created versus destroyed is just so still mind blowing to me. And it's just, it's great,
I did just have an idea for a cooking show that could work in that time. Call it the Soap Dish, and have it be different soap actors coming on and teaching us their favorite recipe.
I love it.
Yeah.
Past and present, there are so many of them, right? I want to know what side Susan Lucci brings to family gatherings. Who doesn't?
I want to say there was, I want to say Mary Beth Evans for a while was doing this like feature where like, she'd have other soap stars like show up, like, they go to like her house and they'd cook in her kitchen and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, let's do like another, and even on SoapNet, there was that long running talk show with Lisa Rinna, I want to say, and I can't remember her co-host. But like, I remember even like watching that and getting like caught up watching, bring SoapNet back.
I think was it Steve Burton that put together the book of all the soap opera actor recipes and stuff like that? I know there was a book a while back, and I thought it was Steve Burton, but it might not have been.
I know that.
And I want to say they did one for like the Days of Our Lives. Like they had a recipe for like the donuts that Alice would make and stuff like that.
I think Young and the Restless actually put out a cookbook at one point.
Yes,
Sean Kanan has a book it's called The Modern Gentleman, about
bachelor,
like cooking, bachelor, men being entertaining, having parties, dinner parties, and stuff like that. Yeah, it's called The Modern Gentleman. He did that one. I think that was his first book a while back. So yeah.
I
wish that like there needs to be just like a soap, like another SoapNet, like bring on like little like cooking featurettes, bring on like kind of little up and coming dramas, just like bring that network back, for crying out loud.
I remember when Melissa and Scott Reeves were on Soap Talk, and Melissa was preparing an Italian dish. That was when she revealed that she was Italian American. And I forgot what dish they were preparing, and that was so great to see our favorite soap opera stars cooking. And I remember the old show Home. Home used to feature General Hospital stars from the 1980s coming on there cooking and exercising. I would love to. I would love to see things like that. Like
it's like with the social media and stuff like that too.
I would never turn on another channel.
No.
Little clips and stuff like that, like showing like behind the scene and showing like these soap actors. Put that stuff up on Instagram. Do some reels. Do some TikTok stuff. There's plenty. Channel some of that into like the social media for the shows. That would be so popular and cool, in my opinion.
Bloopers, just all kinds of fun.
I
remember a few months ago. Yes. Did you guys see that thing a few months ago on social media that Days of Our Lives did, where they took old pictures of their actors to their actor and showed it to them? Like, this was you 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and just their reactions to it, and they put it up on social media, and it was so adorable.
It was so cute. I remember they
Yeah.
showed, I think it was the actress who plays Stephanie,
Thank you, Steve.
Abigail Klein. They showed a photo of her, and she was like blonde, and I think she was like maybe even like a cheerleader at that point.
Yeah.
But like she like looked at it, and she just got this look on her face, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you even have this.
Well, I
Like,
will say that Days is very active on their YouTube page. They do a lot of stuff behind the scenes on their YouTube channel.
I've noticed that too. Yeah.
You should do it. I was so happy when General Hospital did it with the nurses ball stuff with Lucy. I thought that was adorable. And Steve Burton's been like doing a bunch of like behind the scenes things like this, showing off different sets and his memories on some of them and stuff. That stuff is all gold.
And Beyond the Gates, I feel like does, you know, they've got
anyway.
You see Instagram profiles from like those actors, and there's like, you know, there's some little sort of behind the scenes sort of that pops up here and there with them. And
well, speaking of Beyond the Gates, let's get into it. Let's get into what's been going on in the show. I mean, conversation is great. We can go all night with it, but these people that are tuning in right now are looking for some recaps.
Sorry.
Beyond the Gates. It's okay. Trust me. I get it. At some point, we'll have to do a GateCrashers Plus for all this other stuff, and
there we go.
You know, that'll go directly to Patreon. But either way, we have Dani, who is literally, you know, our title is all about Dani and how she has been spiraling out of control. The fact that she lost her marriage to a younger woman, you know, and now she's lost, you know, her daughter, you know, her managing career of her daughter's modeling, but there are a couple things on the horizon for her, but you can see her drinking getting out of control. And I feel bad for Andre because every time he thinks he's going for a booty call, he has to literally be a babysitter.
Yes.
But he was, their scenes were so, when he came over to kind of, you know, she was trying to like show off her little model walk. Oh, and can we just quick little sidebar, when she is practicing her little, like, you know, kind of runs like off and like, you know, and then turns around and tries to do the model walk, like it just like such like a cute little like sequence, like her just trying to like capture that and everything prior to, you know, her full on, you know, just collapsing because of the drinking and everything like that. I mean, just a great kind of range there. It just shows her trying to psych herself up, trying to get back in that groove, not being able to. But Andre was so sweet, like picking up the pieces and just making sure that, like, you know, just, I'm going to pick you up now. I'm going to make sure you're okay. You know, just talking her through the whole thing. I mean, it was just, I like their scenes so much. But yeah, he needs to do, I really appreciated what he said to her too. You know, just him being just, you need to, you know, this is the last time this can happen, you know, just no uncertain terms.
Yeah.
You know, not that she's really going to, you know, follow that direction that closely, I'm sure, but it was just so good. I love their scenes, and I think their chemistry is great, the two of them.
It really is.
So.
And I like the idea of, I kind of like the idea of Andre being almost knocked down a peg because he's such a playboy, so to speak. He's contentious. He's, you know, he's going after Ashley. He's going after Dani. He's, you know, just this bachelor who's not really ready to settle down. But he's in a role now where he's trying to, you know, play the field, whether it's, you know, whatever. But he's forced into this role where he's literally not only a babysitter, but also like a support, a therapist kind of feeling for Dani, and not able to focus on his, you know, his other ways. Like he literally was at dinner with Derek and Ashley, and he got a text message, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get laid." Instead, he was, you know, he ended up babysitting Dani. So, you know, it humbles
but it does
him a
show
little
like
bit.
that tender side to him, and it just shows that he does deeply care about her. It's not just about the sex. It's not just about the fact that, like, I mean, it's just there's definitely a bond that's starting to form there. And you know, it's kind of funny. It's like, you know, you mentioned like, you know, his with Ashley, but it's almost, and granted they haven't really been showing the two of them as like, you know, aside from, you know, his filming her and her like react, like, I don't know, it's like I kind of forget about him and Ashley when he and Dani are sharing scenes, and I kind of forget that he's kind of, because their scenes just, I don't know, I just that relationship to me is just more compelling and more dynamic, and those things are more interesting to me.
Oh yeah.
So
Derek made me laugh.
Soft side of Andre.
Derek made me laugh when Andre left, and Derek told Ashley, "Oh, it must be his booty call." I was like, jealous. And he is boring.
Uh-huh.
He is boring.
Yeah. I will say his scenes that he shared with Haley, that was the first time I kind of saw a little bit more of like just kind of a, I don't know, it wasn't like a chem test or anything like that, I don't think, but just like seeing him interact and play off somebody else in that moment, I was like, hey, you're actually kind of interesting here. Not to this, but I feel the same way about the character typically, but seeing him interact with her, it just was a different kind of level that I appreciated. There's something there, I thought. But they're a little like watching paint dry a little bit, sometimes those scenes.
Well, there's that too. I mean, from the very first episode, they were that couple that was so, they're engaged, and Ashley's like, no one will ever make me feel the way you do. Yeah. I'll never love anybody like I love you. And that right there is a nail in the coffin. Be like, oh yeah, you're going to be cheating on him at some point soon. And she's already thinking about, Andre. Although you're right, they have been playing that down a little bit outside of Andre kind of focusing a lot of his documentary now on Ashley. And Derek is getting a little insecure about the whole situation.
Well, I mean, with good reason.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
And it reminds me of, when the last name Baldwin, it just takes me back to Scotty. It just takes me back to Scotty, Luke, and Laura. When Laura dumped Scotty for Luke, a rapist, who happened to be a rapist. But and the fact that she left Scotty to get with Luke, and Scotty he turned evil, and just the last name Baldwin, and I'm like, just these soap opera nuggets, and I'm like Michelle Valjean, of course we know legendary at Gym Hospital, and these other writers, Ron Carvante is over there as well, and I'm like, I'm wondering when are they going to turn Derek into a bad guy? Because I'm waiting.
Kind of, that progression, I kind of, like that would be the way to kind of break him out of like, the kind of, golden retriever sort of nice guy on the sideline kind of energy we get from him, and it would be interesting to see that character kind of go a little bit dark and, what kind of comes of that. Because I don't know, when we're with the darkness on this show, I'm going to just John Lindstrom and playing, that whole oh my goodness, like he can play that dark character so well. I was just his scenes today were just like, oof, you don't want to mess with that guy. You do not.
I want there to be a reason for him to have scenes with Anita.
Oh yes,
for them to be going at each other.
I ain't the only one. Okay, thank you, Angela. I ain't the only one.
Right? Because because I have a feeling she would destroy him verbally.
Oh yeah.
And he would respect it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he'd be like,
but the character of Joey is so dynamic because not only is that you see him as, the person that runs the casino, which must be some kind of a hidden back room casino, because it's not, something like Atlantic City or Vegas where it's out in the open or whatever. It's kind of like a Miss Wu type of deal.
Yeah, like this is the back room where like the heavy hitters and the big leagues.
Right.
Play,
this is the game that was happening in Curtis's. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like how, Joey he's just a very cerebral but dirty character. Like, he's on the take he's paying off dirty cops. He's basically has the police force in his hands. And I like how, Marcel, which we haven't seen Marcel in a couple weeks, and we haven't really seen the police department in a couple weeks. Yeah. But it was just the way that, Jacob's father, who happens to be the police commissioner, goes up to Marcel and says, "Hey, keep it, try being a little bit more discreet with your dealings because my son is too wholesome to enjoy, to go along with dirty cops."
Yeah.
Which is good for a soap character, but it's someone that's going to end up going to the bad side at some point, or he's going to be faced with a decision to either do the right thing or do the easy thing. So,
well, we've got Doug in his place of decision right now. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's just like I wasn't anticipating Joey being the one to like go. I thought like they'd send in like another muscle guy or something like that, but to have Joey be the one to go in front. Yeah, but no, like I thought they said like stronger muscle or like have some guy come in just like, but no, it's like, okay, now you're bringing in the big guns. It's like, Joey's not there to mess around.
Yeah,
but those,
I don't think Joey is. I mean, I don't think they're portraying Joey like they try to portray Sonny.
Right.
As like the biggest mob boss on the east. You know what I mean? I think he's a small time guy, but right. But he doesn't want this guy beat up or muscled around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
that
he
doesn't
want
get what he needs. He wants him to owe him and he wants him to fear him, but the anticipation of the fear is
that message.
Right.
Yeah.
Because his thing isn't even about Doug. He wants the wife.
Vanessa.
I will say, Doug not Doug, Vanessa and Joey. I mean, nothing against the chemistry. But I will say too, even the scenes when we finally had that sequence when Vanessa kind of is sitting down with Doug, just kind of, full on, yes, I am having affairs, but what are you up to? That whole sequence though, like that was the first time I really saw like that click, that connection, that chemistry between them. And I was just like, oh man, like, like now but prior to that, I was just like, oh my gosh, please just put Vanessa and Joey in every scene together because they're
because they were so great. Yeah.
Right. And they still are, but now it's like a more of a compelling sort of, just because we saw finally a little layer peeled back with Vanessa and with Doug, which we hadn't really seen yet, like, and that was really, those were some amazing scenes. I thought the actress who plays Vanessa was she was awesome. But even the lipstick, I noticed that too. There was a little lipstick, and he like went and thumbed it away, like this. Well, I don't know. It's just something I noticed. But
I like the scenes with Vanessa and Nicole today.
Oh just me too.
The way that she's like, yeah, there's really not much going on in the bedroom at our house, but it's almost like she's hypocritical. Like she's okay with having affairs on the side and extramarital stuff, but then the moment that there's an inkling that Doug is cheating on her or having some kind of an affair, then she's like, well, I don't know. It's like she's changed somehow, or he's staying at work longer, or he's hiding something. So it's like, good enough for me, not good enough for thee, or whatever the case is.
So I'm kind of curious how they kind of, with that. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like her relationship with Doug and they alluded to the fact that they have kids together, which did we know that? Prior to
I don't think we've actually met the kids, but
no, I'd forgotten that detail until they brought it up, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, yeah, they do have kids that are, but I feel like he kind of just became like his schedule was just kind of predictable. She was bored, but now she's able to notice that something has shifted and something has changed, and she's like, yeah, I may be stepping out on the side and everything like that, but what you're up to is genuinely concerning me. Because you're not that way, you're not that type, and something's up with you. So, and I just appreciated that, like, she is like was able to see that. It was a little hypocritical coming from her about like, worried that but at the same time, it's like she knows something's amiss, and it was cool to just kind of see that and her dialed in with him. Just because I hadn't, you didn't really see that between the two of them until those scenes really shook out, and now she's all like with his hand too. She's just like, what the hell is going on? Like now her radar is up, and it's seeing her investment with that is cool.
The way that she came into that hospital room or cubicle, and she saw Joey and Doug talking, and then she sees that, Doug's hand is broken. I'm thinking, because I'm sure she knows the alleged ideas that what Joey's doing or whatever. I'm sure she thought that, Joey came there to hurt Doug in one way or another. And the fact that he's like, oh, well, this is my own stupidity or whatever, which obviously we saw it. But that doesn't mean, it's not going to be perceived by another character.
Right.
But yeah, Doug is
the little nuances that are, just fantastic that are sprinkled in the different stories.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was just fun seeing like that whole dynamic just kind of get elevated a little bit, because it's like, okay, she's playing around, okay, he's the workaholic husband, but now seeing it kind of gel a little bit more, it was really cool, and seeing those actors just doing their stuff was just great. I think now it's like I'm seeing chemistry popping up, and I'm seeing these guys and I'm just like, oh, well, now who do I want with who? How do I want this to shake out?
It's interesting how Doug is having scenes with Shanice. And I love that. I appreciated that, to see Shanice being more than the hospital gossip. I love her being the hospital gossip, or not to Amy Vining and to Amy Driscoll from General Hospital. I love all of it, but it was just so refreshing to see her in scenes with Doug. As I just thought she was just going to be in the scenes with Andre and with she's going to always be in scenes with Ashley. She's her supervisor. Because we know Shanice does want Andre. But it was just a refresher to see her in scenes with Doug, showing her concern, showing her doing the work. Because we were seeing her on the phone all the time, but just to see her actually doing work and just showing a genuine concern for Doug.
Yeah. No, it shows that she's dialed in. She's not just there for like kind of the comic relief sort of they gave her another layer, which I liked. And Doug, Mr. like, I'm gonna throw this, like, I'm gonna bet $1. I'm gonna bet. It's like, oh, just watching him in like this spiral is just like, oof.
Right. He's like trying to find a way to fill that gambling addiction. Right. Without getting himself in trouble. Yeah.
I was very nervous during the scene where he got called to the hospital for that emergency surgery, and you could see his hand shaking. Yeah. Like, I was just very, very nervous during that scene. And then he's like, oh, I just haven't been sleeping well enough, and I haven't been getting enough sleep, and he's tired. And it's like, when you have that kind of job, I would assume, trust me, I've been in jobs where I'm on call, nothing like a surgeon or whatever, but it takes a lot to have to be woken up or at one point saying, hey, I need you to get your ass to work for whatever reason. I got called at, like, I want to say 5:00 Christmas morning because the pipes had burst in one of the auxiliary buildings of the hotel I was working at. And I was front office manager, so I had to get there as soon as possible for the fire department and everything. So I know what it's like, but I can only imagine, a surgeon not having any life, and he wants to go gamble on his very precious off time. Yeah. So he gets home, goes to bed, and then gets a call an hour later. I need you in surgery.
And all he can think on while he's operating, and they just kept on flashing to him, like, at the card table. It's like, that's all that's on his head. It's like, what about the beating heart that's right in front of you? Like, can we maybe talk about, like, focus in on that? Maybe not so much but yeah, no, they've done a really good job of just showing his, like, descent into all of this and the toll that it's taking, and but it doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel like it's like, just kind of like they've progressed it along in such a way where it's just like, and now you're just curious. And for May sweeps, God knows what fate is gonna befall this poor gentleman, because he's in a tough place right now. So
and I'm not sure his wife is in the position to help pull him out of it.
Well, she'll pull him out of it in some way. Joey will get what he wants in one way or another.
Yeah.
Because I like how he said, oh, she only has to sell a couple houses and the commission alone will cover what you owe me. Like, well, she doesn't know. Oh, well, I mean, Joey made no bones about it. He wants Vanessa.
Yeah.
Like he he wants Vanessa.
And with that chemistry, I get it.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But Vanessa has her share of suitors anyway.
Yeah.
So.
But you had mentioned the Vanessa and Nicole scenes, and just I still, and I appreciate too, we're just seeing more those female friendships. I really, really appreciate just how the show brings those out and just kind of shows that, like, even when we had, Katie McLean's character, Pamela's the name, right? Yes.
Yeah.
When, she was the one that kind of, speaking with Dani, but we get a little bit more clued into their history and their dynamic. And then we also have Vanessa and Nicole, and even the women that were on today's episode, with Leslie, who don't really know Leslie's whole story, but, still that whole, I just really appreciate that we get like those scenes, those moments to live in with those female friendships, and that those are just being, because I feel like those are kind of lacking a little bit in some of the other.
How did Leslie even meet these girls? Like, how that's what I would like to know. How the backstory, like, how did Leslie meet these?
That's a good question.
Women? Because obviously, one of them works for Nicole, one of them is another job, and Leslie supposedly wasn't in town for a long time. So I would love to know that kind of the backstory.
Yeah, maybe they just met over a book club. And now they're besties or something.
They
meet up at the diner.
Mona and Leslie goes to the same church.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, they go to the same church because when the night when Leslie knocked Laura off the road with her motorcycle, Mona did ask her about going to church that night. So they knew each other.
I had forgotten that detail.
Yeah, and but Mona worked with Laura, and the soap opera nuggets again. Leslie, Laura.
And Mona,
Laura,
Tyler, he got all my children referenced in there too.
General Hospital Cause, Leslie Weber and her daughter Laura, and I'm like, and just these soap opera nods and these nuggets. This is one of the big things I appreciate about the show. Like, it's a love letter to the other soaps.
Oh yeah,
it's a love letter. So I'm like, when people are like talking, they naysay stuff, I don't even pay them attention anymore. I'm learning not to. I'm learning, okay, this is what stands out for me. This is what I love. I appreciate, because I'm going to admit, yes, I did a lot of the negativity at first. Yes, I was part of that soap opera negativity Twitter, but I've learned my ways. So I have repented, just thinking about yes, there's going to be things in which, okay, this is kind of not gelling with me, but 100% negativity. Like, some people, that's what they do on social media. Everything negative. And I'm like, everything is not negative in life, but if you want it to be negative, it'll be negative. But those are like the nuggets, like Laura, Leslie, but Leslie, wait a minute, Leslie, aka Dana, aka Sherry Carter, aka Anna, aka Lulu, and I'm like, really, Lulu? Like, all these soap opera nods, Leslie. Oh my God. I just cannot wait until next week. I love her though. I love her.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The actress, Trisha Mann Grant. She's
fantastic. Yeah.
I love Leslie.
It's so fun just seeing like what's going to happen next with her, because it's just she's got that unpredictable streak. She's the wild card that can just kind of, I'm just going to show up here and I'm going to randomly, just make this woman have a lifelong infection in the hospital and never able to leave, basically. Or at least.
And I honestly feel like she stole Ava from the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And Ava is really Nicole and Ted's.
She knows her way around, like finding some scrubs and sneaking into rooms and making herself cozy behind the nurse's desk and checking stuff out. I feel like this is not her first rodeo with stuff like this.
She was very comfortable with injecting Laura with the syringe. I have a theory. Right. I believe I really believe Eva and Kat are twins. I believe them girls are twins. I don't think they were switched, because they remind me so much of Jessica and Natalie from One Life to Live. And I almost forgot on The Bold and Beautiful, the first Caroline, sister Karen. Karen was stolen from Bill Spencer Sr. I forgot about that.
Mhm.
And our adopted mother, Bonnie, who was played by Dorothy Lyman, she was a waitress. And I'm like, oh, like Leslie's a waitress too. And I just think that Leslie,
I also had. I was also wondering if maybe Ava could be Nicole or Leslie and Ted's kid, and she swapped her. No, Ava could be Nicole and Ted's kid.
Yeah.
No, yes, Nicole and Ted's kid, and she swapped her and Ted's kid in.
Yeah.
To let that kid grow up privileged and all of that, and Nicole and Ted's kid is the one that she's been.
That could be a
keeping
possibility.
away.
There's a lot of room there because, I mean, when we found out, everything about Nicole, discussing the miscarriages, discussing the fertility stuff, it's definitely lending itself to something went awry with that whole, situation, or could have.
And they also, the actress who played Nicole, because I know that we touched on this, the actress who played Nicole alluded to a twist coming that could change the way people saw Nicole. So I'm like, what if Nicole had an affair and Kat is not Ted's? But Ted doesn't know that. And so Ava is Ted's, Nicole is, and Kat is such a witch to her.
Oh, yeah.
And Ted would still love her and want to be a father to her, but she would be she would lose her. She would lose it if she lost who her father was and Ava got her father. Can you imagine
even today,
that?
When she was talking with Ted, when Kat was talking with Ted, you're my favorite. Well, I'm your only daughter. And they kind of, it's like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Kat would lose. I mean, Kat would be upset just to find out that Ted was also this girl's father, but on top of being hers. But can you imagine if she found out Ted was not her father and found out that he was Ava's?
Yeah,
that would be good.
She'd be trying to kill that girl.
Some good soapy tension, right about there.
And I believe that's going to be when she probably gonna get drunk and get with Tomas. She's gonna lose that virginity that night.
Ava and I'm sorry, Ava and Tomas, far and away, the two of them today. Like this is like it's like you take the character who's kind of, not to say Tomas is flat with Kat, but I just wasn't really like, I can kind of see a spark, kind of see some cute, but him and Ava have like, oh my, okay, like it's the two of them are where it should be happening. I loved their scenes. I think that they have a really good chemistry between the two of them. Not to mention the fact that we got to see Ava just kind of like, getting emotional and getting as truthful as she can with him, which was just added another layer. But I think the two of them definitely have a really good spark. So
yeah.
And actually that brings us to a new segment. I'm only going to show this overlay for a couple minutes because it's going to cover the two people on the bottom.
That's
but
okay.
What's the fudge moment of the week?
Wait, you should have put me on the bottom so Donald could have been on top.
That's all right. I'm only going to show for a couple minutes. So what the fudge moment of the week. And I'm sorry, but I can't understand Naomi dropping her clients from suing Bill, because I felt like it was a shoo-in lawsuit, and then helping them shape the settlement. It's like that to me was like, why would you do that? Like, I understand she loves her father and everything, and the family dynamic, but I would have loved to see that family feud in court.
Yeah.
Same.
I would have understood if he had actually had the heart attack or something. But
yeah. I thought that they would milk that tension a lot longer. I thought we wouldn't see her trying to have having these conflicted, like, well, I should still let him into my life. I thought that would be a ways out still, just given everything that went down, because I mean, obviously, Bill betrayed Dani by cheating, obviously, but with Naomi, it was a double whammy because it's not only like her father stepping out on her mother, it's with her best friend. Like, of anyone,
Right.
she should be the one that is holding the extra hand the longest. She should be the one that, like, it. If anything, they could have. I almost wish, like, if they were going to have one of the daughters, Chelsea has that moment with him where, like, sees him kind of in this weakened place and then, like, feels compelled, and have, Naomi be the one that maybe they just didn't have a courtroom set and they couldn't. Maybe they need to build that still.
Yeah,
they need to buy some more Tide so that they can
Yeah,
build a courtroom set or
Tide
something.
and Febreze.
Yeah,
no more Tide and Febreze. Yeah, we got to sell more PG&E product or a Procter and Gamble product.
Honestly, the lack of a courtroom is really the only reason why I can't feel it. I feel like that's like them not going toe to toe. That would have just been such a satisfying kind of.
Yeah.
So not having that is kind of a bummer. I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, and that was brought to you by What the Fudge Homemade Confections, made in a cottage kitchen in New Haven, Connecticut. So if you're in the New Haven, Connecticut area and want to order some homemade fudge, go to whatthefudgect.com or facebook.com/whatthefudgect and put in your order. Unfortunately, you can't ship, so it has to be home delivery. But either way, it's fantastic. Over this past week, she had homemade fudge eggs with chocolate and peanut butter fudge, and I'm telling you, they were much better than Reese's. So again, whatthefudgect.com or facebook.com/whatthefudgect. Check it out. Like the page on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Next time you're in Buffalo, we might have to arrange a meeting.
Yes. Yes.
Drive like
if
5
only
hours
for the sake of chocolate and peanut butter. That combo's delightful.
But yeah, so moving on. Let's talk about Martin and Smitty. I alluded to Smitty earlier in the episode by his Mike Manning's fandom of WWE, but Martin and Smitty as parents. I want to talk about the parenting from the beginning. First of all, as a couple, I would like to see them on the same page a little more, but I know that's the dynamic that they're trying to portray, that, Smitty is more of the, lovable parental advice kind of person, and Martin is more about the optics to the outside and wanting to make sure that his kids don't suffer and stuff. And I like the dynamic, but I would like to see a little bit more in terms of Martin and Smitty together, like being in love or whatever. We're supposed to expect them to be family, but there's no chemistry in terms of romantic chemistry from what I see.
I'm not seeing it between them. And it's like even if we got like little glimpses, when you've got like the whole storyline with Martin, his nightmares, whatever it is that's like he in his history that they're trying to cover up, that he's flashing back to. I mean, in those moments, we see like a little like glimmer of like, Smitty, obvious concern for him. But I almost wish that like we'd get just a scene of like him like comforting him through a nightmare or something like that, just to, like to kind of, just more of them just kind of interacting and not necessarily even in like that space, but just more of, we need more of like their connection. And not just through the kids, and not just through like these, because in a way, I mean, we've seen it. I mean, I still can't really get past the fact that Smitty was.
I don't know why the hell Smitty's with this man.
Yeah,
He's an ass to him. He does not treat him well.
No.
So I'm like, we need to see something to even show me why Smitty, that hunk of a man, would be putting up with this nonsense.
I mean, hell, Smitty was talking in today's episode. He was talking briefly with that bouncer guy or that guy that was in the club. And I was like, they almost have more chemistry in that 0.2 seconds that they were interacting than I've seen with him and Martin. And I was just like, hey, who's that guy? Maybe Smitty can go on a date with him. I'm just like,
and here's the thing, I buy Smitty's love for Martin.
Yeah,
I just don't buy Martin's for Smitty.
I agree.
I don't either.
And even the way that they are with the kids, like Martin is just somebody who's going to get his way. End of story.
Yeah.
Because even with
And
the way
pointed
Samantha,
that out too.
Well, even with the way Samantha wants to go on to be a model, and I understand, not wanting her to drop out of school and wanting her to continue, at least get her degree or her diploma, whatever. But he goes out of the way to talk to Dani about it and about her her experience and Chelsea's experience and everything, and then we come to the thought that okay, now he sees it from the other side, and he's got his informed decision, and he comes home and puts the kibosh and everything. Now, Samantha shouldn't be lying to her dad that she wants to go through with this, or lying to Chelsea and whatever. But that's a teenager for you.
To be fair, when she was actually, just quick sidebar, when she actually goes and ditches school and shows up at Chelsea and Kat, I honestly thought when she was playing them and saying, "Oh yeah, I'm dropping out," I thought she was serious.
I thought so too.
I was genuinely "Oh wait, you're actually okay." I genuinely thought she was serious in that moment. Just quick sidebar there.
No, it's fine. But I kind of like how, or should I say, it's interesting how they're treating each of the different kids. With Tyrell and the fact that he's a teenager. First of all, I have to suspend disbelief because I can't believe those two kids are teenagers. But
I have seen that, and I have no problem believing they are teenagers. Just because kids look older nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
I think
I can believe Samantha more than Tyrell. I'll put it that way.
Tyrell's scenes with I'm blanking on her name, Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica.
Those scenes convinced me. Okay, teenagers, cute. Yeah. I like them. That was the first time I've seen him in a teen mode where I've been oh, I like them.
Okay.
That was genuinely but I the scenes sometimes with him and Samantha where they were had the lingo just kind of thrown at all the teen dialogue and all of that. It felt like I was getting kind of hit over the head with it, and I wasn't feeling that sort of. But I felt in those scenes something shifted, and the two of them have a natural chemistry, and it lends itself to them being teenagers. I can see it better than with Samantha.
Some of the dialogue when it was Samantha and Tyrell kind of went over my head. I wasn't going to complain about it because I know culturally, teenagers have a different language anyways. But
there are times I still don't understand what my kids are saying in their early 20s. I'm just
but they also, they also just speak regular English too. We don't need to get sus thrown in every 5 seconds. It's well, I mean, here's the thing: is that
every night, and my daughter is 21, almost 22. Yeah, she'll be 22 in April. And every night, her and her college friends and her roommates are all gathered outside on the front porch because we all live in the same building. They're in another apartment. And I go out and walk the dogs. That's how they are talking.
Okay. Then I stand
corrected.
I stand corrected.
No, it might just be them. I'm just saying, I had no problem with it because I've seen it, and with them and my nieces and nephews, it's they don't want to be understood, because then when you're what are you saying? They're okay, boomer. They're looking for any opportunity to say that.
See, here's the thing, and this is why I don't complain about it on social media. But the other thing is, I'm glad that they're keeping the dialogue culturally relevant to not only teenagers, but also teenagers of color and stuff. And I'm not looking for them to whiteify the dialogue as we see in a lot of cases. And I don't want to offend anybody. That's just the word I'm using.
Yeah.
I don't want them to cater to white people who are who can't understand it. I just want a little bit more, maybe, explanation at some point. I don't always want to have to go on to the internet to find out.
Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary to find out. Your drip is, I don't know.
Yeah.
When I think of drip, I think of a leaky faucet, not clothing.
So, I don't know. The only thing that kind of took me out of it slightly was just I'm thinking, okay, these actors look a little bit older, and we're laying in the language to kind of make it seem like they are younger, but we're doing it a little bit too much in some instances.
Yeah.
and that's what kind of took me out of it. Not so much the language itself. It's just like, we get it, okay? Like, they're not in their 20s. They are teenagers, and they are in this. But it just kind of felt a little heavy-handed. But I did feel it a lot more naturally, like I said, in that scene with Jessica and with Tyrell. I think that was like the first kind of teen moment where I've just been like, these two have chemistry. They are cute. I actually kind of want to see how this is going to play out. And that was like, I genuinely enjoyed those scenes a lot. So I hope to see more of that girl too, because like I thought like there was just something about, I was like, oh, the young crowd, okay, they're cute. Let's see more of them.
I want to thank
and that's
the
the first time I
63
kind of thought
people that are
that.
currently.
So.
I want to thank the 63 people that are currently watching. Thank you so much. Definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Get notified. Go ahead and post in the chat. Our chat is open. Definitely get your voice heard. React to the chat. Hit that like button. Definitely help with the engagement on YouTube and Twix and all that kind of stuff. So we are here every Monday for Gate Crashers at 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about Beyond the Gates, 8 p.m. Eastern on a Monday for Suds News, which is all about General Hospital. And then the Dock Side of the Bay generally goes up at 12 noon on Thursdays. So when it comes to kind of going back to the original thought, Martin and Smitty, their parenting styles are so much different. Their personalities are so much different, and I feel like whatever Martin is hiding is affecting his psyche when it comes to Smitty. He doesn't trust anything very easily.
Right.
Right. And he's constantly trying to hide his authentic self. And also not wanting to take advice. Like when he went to Vernon and said, I'm thinking about running for president. Like, are you crazy? Like does he fully remember what supposedly covered up? Because I see the nightmares and I'm wondering if that's a repressed memory that's coming back.
That's kind of a vibe that I'm getting from it.
Because I mean, I would think that if you have something bad in your background,
that would be the last thing you'd want to do is run for the highest office in the land. That would just seem a little, unless it's something that he doesn't really fully understand or know because of outside protection and everything that, Anita and Vernon have been trying to do. And, there's definitely, because we don't know everything, but I don't think he does either.
He saw something, and I'm really thinking it has something to do with Joey. It's just Joey has so much more pull in Fairmont Crest, more than we know. And I'm like,
and those two worlds really intersecting and intermeshing would be, that would make for some fire. We'd get like those Anita Joey scenes, which would just or potentially if like that was kind of seeing like the big bad, them kind of, because we've got Joey and the cops, that whole dynamic and everything, but crossing into like that territory too with him, I feel like would make for some really explosive stuff. So
and whoever this guy is coming, whoever he is, I just got a feeling he's connected to Joey in some way. I don't know, the guy who Vernon and Martin is going to see as a thorn. It has to be something Joey, because Nicole is in Joey's orbit now.
Yes.
Yeah. And Vanessa, we as soap opera fans from way back, we look at the scenes, we look at the nuances of the scenes, and I'm like, we question why is this character in this person's orbit? That it's often the clues what is not said, or just things we got to read between the lines. But Nicole is in Joey's orbit all of a sudden now, because I really think Joey is Nicole's daddy and Martin will be the grandson. It's something. I think
there could
have to do with Anita. Something with Anita. I think he saw something.
Because Nicole right now, I mean, we've got her in like this kind of, she's like, the therapist who's beloved by, just very, even keeled. She's the one that talks to everybody. She's the one. it's time for there to be like some heavy drama that's going to be. So, that's definitely, and like you said, Angela, like, seeing another side and everything like that, like, because right now, I mean, she's one of my faves, but I'm really curious to see where they're going to try and take her and what they're going to try and do.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like, those scenes are going to be awesome. And, it's like we have it with, I don't know, I still get a little, because I see Turtleneck Ted, and I just get a little, I mean, I know that like the recast and stuff, we don't know exactly what all, but it's just, it makes me kind of sad knowing that, like, the recast is in place, because I do see that chemistry between them I've really enjoyed. And just knowing that, like, we're going to get into some heavy stuff, and right in the midst of all of that, we're going to see a different face there. It's just a little, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Obviously, we don't know any reason behind it. Maybe the news will come out at some point. Maybe Maurice Johnson will accept my DM to and come on the show when he can.
I'd love to. Yeah. It was just even funny watching like the scenes today when they showed all the actors just like, the karaoke stuff, which I keep coming back to because it was just such a fun, like, when they cut to like showing the crowd, you could tell the actors were just all having a blast filming that.
Yeah.
And they were just getting to, and it was just so fun to watch and cool to see. I'm just like, those guys are enjoying the hell out of that.
I love the episode today. And especially that part in the karaoke bar. I think it's called Uptown. I liked it because it actually showed Anita being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like the idea that she didn't want to go up and sing karaoke because she's out of practice. She hasn't done it for a while. She doesn't, she feels like she's a shell of herself and whatever. And I like Vernon being there supporting her.
Yeah.
It was so nice to see that dynamic between the matriarch and patriarch of the family, where they're not sniping at each other. They're very much in love.
Oh yeah.
And
very much so. And I really buy their love, and I really buy their, even though we've only had them for a month or two, but I really buy them as the matriarch and I really,
absolutely,
it feels longer. It feels like we've known their story longer because they're just so perfect in it.
Yes.
Clifton and Tamara, perfect actors to play Vernita. Perfect casting. I love them. I love them. It's as if they knew each other for years. And Tamara did speak about Clifton Davis playing Vernon at the Paley NYC event, and she was a fan of his from the days of his show with Melba Moore, and then going back to Amen. So it's a joy to see. It's a joy to see them together, to show their love and their support of each other. And I loved the day when he narrated, when he was narrating at the end. I was crying. I really was crying, and I was so happy to see it because he's a real life minister, so that would make sense. But it took me back. I'm thinking about when the Guiding Light first debuted on radio in the 30s. There was Reverend Dr. John Roofledge. He was the Guiding Light of the first town, 5 Points, way before Springfield. He was the Guiding Light. So it's again Procter and Gamble taking us back to our soap opera roots, and I love that. I love it.
That's so cool. Yeah, no, their like scenes together are just, and I love it like when they're together, and I love it when I feel invested in like this family just in general, and like you said, it hasn't been that long amount of time, but it just feels like we've known them, but it's just incredible the way that they've managed to just, and I love like we get to see like scenes with like the Naomi and Anita scenes, even just that like intergenerational sort of, and Dani and Nicole, and just like this whole you just feel so invested with these So now it's like, yeah, now we need the outside, like another family to come in and be like the big competitors who we can't stand because it's getting at our like little beloved group here,
I like. So with Dani now having two potential offers on the table, one to kind of be the marketing person for, for Chelsea and Kat's handbag, fashion design team, and then modeling agency for Pamela. Do you think that she's going to either excel in one or end up screwing everything up because of whether it's her drinking or something being out of control or what have you? Because
I think the whole Pamela.
First of all, before you guys answer that, the term momager has been being thrown around, especially by Chelsea, and she announced Dani as her momager on stage. I always thought that held a negative connotation, but in this case, it's more of like she's my mom, she's my manager, my momager.
Yeah, term of endearment for sure.
Yeah,
especially
it can
with
be
like
used
context
both ways
of that
depending
whole
on
the way that she was talking about her, up on that stage and with the runway and everything like that. Like you could tell it just came from a place of love. But it's like, but you also have it where like Chelsea's also got legitimate. She doesn't want to see her mom just kind of invade because she knows what it would entail. She knows that like yes, she has all this valuable experience, but she wouldn't just stay marketing manager. She'd become more than that. It would just, but it's interesting with the Pamela kind of, her wanting to kind of, I could see it where like, she gets with Pamela and then there's like maybe like a rivalry sort of, you got like a modeling agency versus like, a line that's trying to, I could see it where there could be like a little bit of a, rivalry forming there just because that was an interesting thing to see from Pamela, just like, hey, this is like what we should, get into and lock into together. I guess it depends on Katie McLean's availability to just like,
right.
Be down there and playing Pamela.
So my thing, which I would love to see, I would love to see her do the modeling business with Pamela, but she go back. There's something comes up and she goes back to modeling because Dani misses it. Dani wants to go back.
Oh yeah.
And I would love to see her to get another shot of it and just really, I think that would be what got Dani her groove back.
I think so too.
Is making
I could even see it be like an Erica Kane kind of thing where she's getting her groove back, starting to kind of find her footing, but then kind of leans back into the alcohol thing, and then we get like what that like epic like tell off the town speech, something like that.
Yeah,
because I thought from the get go, she is just there is Erica Kane vibes so hard when it comes to Dani, and I'd love to see just like kind of that like teetering on the edge, sort of like finding her former glory, with the daughter and everything. I could just see it where she just has like a drunken spiraling meltdown or something right when you think that she's trying to finally get her way back, because that drunken problem that's not going to go away just because Andre said it had to.
No,
that's not going anyplace anytime soon. So
I would love to see Dani go into this next chapter with Pamela. I'm rooting for Dani. The day when Vernon was giving his mini comfort pep talks to Dani. She's a daddy's girl, and I was crying. Actually, I was sitting in this living room crying because it's like Dani lost herself. Dani lost herself when she married Bill and had Naomi and Chelsea. She lost herself, so I can look at it in that way, and she wants her groove back because I can identify with her on a lot of levels. You get distracted, you get pulled in another area, you lose your voice, you're muted, and then it's the time like, okay, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I would love to see this for her. And what I would love to see from that, I would love to see Bill, or I would love to see Bill see that side to Dani.
That would be.
It remind me of he knows in a way he wants Dani back, but see the thing, he took Dani for granted. And by her getting herself together and bigging herself up, that's going to make her look so more attractive to Bill.
Yeah, because it's
Bill's because
absolutely
that's who he fell for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big model that everybody else, that's who he, that was the bird he wanted to put in the cage.
But also
Haley's going to end up pregnant right around the same time of this. So she won't
with
be
a
as
little boy
fun and
that
exciting.
made Bill's face light up when that's all gonna coincide,
Well, she won't be as fun and exciting and sexy and as new as she was, but then here's this woman.
Yeah. And see, the thing with Bill is, and you can definitely see it, is his insecurity. He needs to be the one that's the most important in the relationship. You know, he got with Dani because she was a conquest. You know, he won the prize. He got the girl. Okay, now we're married.
And not only the girl, but her connections too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And and then as soon as they get married, he wants her to quit her job. He wants her to lose herself in him because there's a potential she could become more important than he is.
Just like Martin.
I will say that I love the layers to Bill's character though, because he's a sleazebag.
Yeah.
But he's not as big of a sleazebag as we saw with Mike. Like he's got some boundaries. And I like how Bill basically told me, he flat out said, all right, you're gone. Your contract is over. You're no longer a partner. Yeah. And even though the other partners were involved, it was my decision to let you go. And, he's like, I recommend you try to find something quick before this comes out in the press and you're going to be untouchable. You're not, nobody's going to want to touch you and bring you on.
Well, though, that guy's going to come back with something. That's going to come back to bite Bill for sure. Yeah. But it was really nice seeing him just kind of draw that line in the sand and just be like, yep, you know what? I understand. I am I was involved with an employee. Yes, I have my own, but what you have done is a separate entity. And because of that, you need to leave. Seeing him draw that line in the sand was refreshing. That was, the layers, like you said. And, I also thought it was kind of, I've always, the sequences previously where we've had Bill and Haley and Dani, it's been frustrating to watch because you see Haley on her little high horse trying to talk to, but Dani, usually is able to shut her. I really appreciated, though, the scene where Dani just kind of sits down with her before her, dinner with Pamela and just kind of says, tells it like it is. Listen, this is, don't lose yourself. And it just kind of gives her that just very, I really appreciated those scenes because you could see for the first time Haley, it looked like it was starting to kind of, click in, but she's not ready to accept it yet. There's just a lot of depth in those scenes and I appreciated it versus Haley just being all catty and coming up to her and Dani sniping back at her. It's like, no, okay, they actually got real there for a moment and I appreciated that.
Yeah, so I think we kind of hit on every major plot point for the week. I will say, continue to watch it, folks. If you're getting frustrated or you think you're not going to like something, I recommend just watch it as a fan. Don't try to analyze it.
Watch it for Tamara Tooney doing karaoke and singing like a boss.
Oh, fantastic! That karaoke scene tonight was awesome. I like how she's up on. I like how that she was up on stage and nervous at the beginning, and then she started over, and then all of a sudden, bam! Yeah. She's back in character.
With the girls behind her, just in the whole. If you watch that sequence alone, and you're automatically going to be like, okay, who are these people? They all seem cool. They all seem like they're having a good time. I want to see more of them. So
it was such a bop, and I enjoyed it. I was reading something earlier about some of the critics. I laugh now. I just laugh now. I can't take all that seriously anymore. Oh, but she's but Anita is a 1960s, 70s music legend. Yeah, but people don't understand those same music legends from the 60s and 70s. Their career kept going from house and dance and freestyle music producers. It's like Diana Ross, right. Who Anita was patting after. Diana Ross had hits remastered by Frankie Knuckles, the godfather of house. So all of these New Jack Swing, house, dance, freestyle producers kept these 60s and 70s icons still going with their music. So what are people talking about?
And people, your voice changes as you get older and as you don't use it as much.
Right.
And there are insecurities there. It's natural. People, I'm sorry, Frank Valentini nailed it on the head when he said that internet soap fans are hammers looking for a nail. They just want something to bitch about.
Yeah.
That's it. They want to find something to complain about.
Yeah.
And I will add to that. This past week, Triple H said that the internet is fake. The people on the internet are fake because they're just looking for things to complain about.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's a toxic area.
I see it over on one of the most toxic soap message boards. I see it all the time. Like they complain every time one of us says something that we're enjoying about the soaps. They're like, wonder how much they're getting paid. And earlier somebody posted a picture of Sidwell from GH and said, I just don't understand the point of this character. FV just likes the actor. And I said, I'm enjoying him and I'm intrigued by the character. And the first reply was, okay, FV's mouthpiece. And I'm like, is it so incomprehensible to people on a soap opera board that somebody might be liking?
Yeah, there have been a couple times.
This is an interest of mine that I want to talk about with other people who share the same interest. And have a positive conversation with.
There was a point in time where my account, where somebody replied saying, "Oh, we found Frank's burner account," or
and I'm like,
your Elizabeth Cortez burner account or whatever. I'm like,
oh yeah, they keep saying I'm Elizabeth Cortez's sister. I'm like, God, I wish.
What?
Right?
What?
Like, I wish Frank was paying me to say nice things about General Hospital, but I just am loving. I mean, I watch all of the soaps, and yet are they all every day, every minute, absolute perfection? No, they can't be. But that's what makes those golden moments golden. Mm-hmm. That's when you're like, those moments where, and this is why I watch soaps. Yeah. And sometimes it's a big thing, sometimes it's a little thing, but it just, I'm racing. I'm like looking at the clock every day for what time my stories are coming on Fridays. I'm bummed. I'm like, the one thing that makes Fridays okay is that we're getting our spoilers for next week.
Right.
I get to sit down and eat dinner in front of my, I get to watch my story and, have my dinner and just after work, what have you, just knowing that I can turn on my and watch my Beyond the Gates people. I'm just so happy about that, and it's just
same.
We gotta, show it some love for crying out loud. Yes, we're not gonna love it every freaking week.
No.
Come on.
We watch GH live as a group over Zoom every day, and then we watch Beyond the Gates after that, and we talk about it. I did 2 Zooms this weekend. We did Twitter Spaces starting at 9, both Friday and Saturday for an hour. And then I did Zooms. At 2:30, Saturday morning and Sunday morning, I tapped out and said, I'm going to leave the room open. I'm going to mute you guys. Have fun. 6 a.m., I get up to go to the restroom. Some of them were still on there talking about soaps.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. I love that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Love it.
I do too.
Because I'm gonna tell y'all, like I said earlier, I was one of those people, just looking at the negative, because I had stuff going on in my real life. And when you have stuff going on in your real life, you're gonna bring it wherever you go, your jobs, your family, social circles, social media. So I'm like, Donald, I'm working on a lot of stuff. Doing the inner work. So once you do the inner work, it's like you start to see, wait a minute, what I was thinking was totally wrong. And we all evolve as people. We all, well, most people, not everybody, but mature and evolve. And it's like, Donald, because see, I'm gonna tell y'all something, and yeah, I oh my God, I was like attacking things like that's not how you do. That's not how you do. You don't attack everything. I mean, okay, there's some things, good, bad, and ugly, I'm gonna say, but I'm not gonna 100%, oh, this actress is this actor is that. It's like you don't do that. You don't attack people. I mean, you can have your views, and like I was posting that I think with Vanessa, it would be great to see like Tanya Walker to play her mother. Oh no, because I'm like, look, if she's on Forever and a Day and she's gonna be on Threads of Time. What's wrong? Because I grew up watching Tanya Walker. I love Tanya Walker. I mean, I go back to her as Olivia Jerome, and I go back to Alex all and off on One Have to Live. And my whole thing about it is I'm not even going there with whatever politics. People have different politics. We may not agree with the politics, but I'm not gonna, I may have a perspective, you may have a different one, you may have a different one, or the same or whatever. But I'm not gonna say like F him, F her because of that. Because the whole thing about it is when we go on jobs, these are jobs. These are jobs for these actors, these writers, these producers. And the jobs we're on, we're not gonna all be on one accord. So I just think people just really need to say, okay, this is our entertainment, our escapism, but you gotta understand, people come to these sets, they come to do their work. That's the most important thing. I mean, there's some actors that we have seen who misbehaved. I'm not gonna say the actors, but it's like, but most of them, they just want to go to their jobs, do their work, whatever politics they have. I'm not gonna get myself upset because so and so has maybe different politics from mine. Long as the person.
Here's the deal.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people on social media that scared away a lot of the actors and actresses off of social media.
The most unfortunate thing in the world, because it's just like this should be like a community where people can celebrate what they like, and if you don't like it, then don't watch.
Exactly.
It's not that difficult. I was going through a phase and still kind of am with Days right now where I'm not really thrilled with a lot of the plots going on. I'm not seeing characters that I like, but I'm not about to just, go on a bender on social media and just be ranting about it. It's like, I'll tune in when I want to tune in and I'll say, I like this because I figure that positive attention is going to, okay, cool. I'll draw attention to the people that I like and the things that I like. And maybe if somebody sees that, I'll see more of what I like versus going in there and just vent. It's like I vent as much as the next person, but I'm not going to do it online in a platform where potentially stuff like that can be seen by people that are doing this for their day-to-day work and need to it's like, come on, let's separate it out a little bit. Real versus real,
exactly. Let's, I have some very strong opinions about some of the actors, including one of my co-captains of my all-time favorite ship. But I can separate the actors from their characters, and I can enjoy a character even if I don't really like the actor as a person. And I mean, when I talk on my Twitter and stuff like that, I keep it to the characters.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I keep it to the characters.
They're characters that we are
exactly.
We're not happy with so and so's behavior, but the actor has nothing to do with that. That's the role that they're playing for their job. Let's keep it in perspective.
I also don't get these people who are like, I want this show canceled. I'm like, just stop watching. You don't like the show, so nobody gets it.
That's a read.
As someone who watched a soap that she watched since she was like a kid, don't wish that on anybody. Don't wish that out there. Come on, I mean,
you're not getting your ship, so nobody gets to enjoy their story.
Right. I mean, all my children, I was so frustrated by the end of it, but when I found out it was going to get canceled, I lost my mind. I started crying. I'm just like, this hurts. The show itself has not been good, at least to my standards, in quite some time. But knowing it was going to go away for good was just it was such a gut punch, and I wouldn't want that for any of there's so few that are out. Hopefully that's a trend that's going away now. But like,
Well,
you know,
yeah.
like we gotta, you know, embrace the ones that we've got because when they get canceled, they're done and they can't bring them.
Yeah.
And there are so
We're not
many
going to see
parallels.
like a revival of All My Children proper. I mean,
No,
it would be something
no,
that would be like maybe a hybrid, maybe, but we're never going to
I
get
would
that
love
back.
no.
a
So
hybrid
don't
of
wish
All My Children and
cancellation
One
on.
Life to Live.
Oh, a
Yeah.
hybrid would be cool, but it's never going to be what it was. You know, you're never
Right.
going to have.
No, no.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
They could
But
revive both shows in their own time slot, and they would never be what they
yeah,
were. It would
No.
you
be,
know, like
yeah.
once it's gone, it's gone. So
Right.
Yeah.
appreciate what you've
Right.
got, even if it's not. I mean, there's
There's,
ups and downs too. There could be storylines that you love, and then next month storylines that you couldn't care less about. It happens. Just
General
ride the wave
Hospital
out.
has been on 61 years,
yeah.
5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. It can't all be
No.
The Godfather. It can't
No.
all
No.
be the Ten Commandments or Cleopatra.
No.
You know, it can't
No.
all be. It's impossible that with the amount of content they put out, it's impossible for it all to be the absolute best thing you've ever seen.
100%. 100%.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
You know, it's when
yeah.
Beyond the Gates was set to debut, and you know the announcements were trickling out and everything. There were so many people that said, "Oh, once Beyond the Gates starts, GH is going to be canceled. ABC is going to get rid of GH because they're going to be in the same time slot." But see, here's the thing: when there's so many parallels because, of course, me being the wrestling guy, when back in 2001, when WCW went out of business and WWF was the only game in town, you know, and there have been documentaries and books written about the downfall of WCW. That's not the prevalent here. The lack of competition for WWE at the time in the early 2000s made the writers complacent, and it was not good. AEW comes along in 2019, and while it may not be everybody's cup of tea, it made WWE better because they saw there's now competition, and the writing got better, and the shows got better, and it's an evolution of the genre. Now that Beyond the Gates is here, and in many markets, it's on the same time as GH, but it doesn't matter anymore because you got streaming. So you watch it at a different time, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Watch it when you're sitting around at like 7:30 at night and eating your dinner. That's what I do every
once Beyond the Gates
so
started, the Nielsen ratings, which everybody seems to rely on, for GH actually went up because more people were watching the soap genre.
Right.
Yeah.
And coming back to the soap genre. I don't know about Y&R and B&B because I don't pay attention to them. I don't know if Peacock releases the ratings information for days. But for GH, the ratings went up because of, and not to mention, GH's stories have been better for the past, I want to say 6 months to a year. They've been on a tear and on fire with the storytelling. They've been great. Yeah, have they had downtimes? Absolutely. But you know what?
Yeah.
They have to. But the fact is that the storylines they've been telling, it may not be your cup of tea.
Right.
But the fact is other people enjoy it. Me personally, I love Drew playing his villain character right now. It's fantastic.
Fun. It's soapy.
Is fantastic in the role. Do I want Drew killed off? Hell no. Because the thing is like
when I see people say that Drew and Willow are irredeemable, I'm like, I can't take people seriously that think this on a soap opera.
Yep.
They cheated. Are you kidding me? They cheated. These people would not have survived the 80s and the 90s and soap.
Oh,
no, not at all.
Can you imagine them watching when Alan was trying to drop a roof on Monica and Rick?
Uh-huh.
But it's funny, even with like dwelling in like that negative sort of, I mean, with Days right now, I mean, we're on the cusp of seeing like the new writers' material starting to air. Ron Carvalati's stuff is basically done. I mispronounced his name.
Carlavati.
Anyhow,
yeah.
Thank you. but
I do
you
it
know,
all
it's
the
one of
time.
those where I see like interviews with the up and coming writers, you know, or the people, the regime that's going to start kind of, and you know, there's like they mentioned the storylines and they mentioned the key players that they're going to be bringing in, and I'm like, okay, I like this. Okay, this is still a little bit kind of steeped in the old, but this looks good. You know, I could like, you know, there's some people though that are automatically just they see one thing that they don't like and then they automatically assume that this new group is going to suck and it's going to not be, you know, it's just going to be same old stuff, and they're already dwelling in this negative space. And I'm just like, there was probably a lot of burnout that was happening in the previous sort of. We saw some weird stuff. The show is not, and the whole 9 months in advance filming schedule does not help the situation at all.
No.
But at least, like, you know, it's like I have a little hope here, guys. The actors look like they're kind of happy with some of the stuff that's going to be, you know, circulated out. We're seeing some faces coming back. I don't know. I just see like people in this negative space, and I'm just like, can we at least give them a fighting chance before we start like, you know, tearing everything down? We don't even know how. Like, we haven't even seen the new stuff air yet. Like, let's try and at least, you know, because yes, we're going to see some storylines that are still playing out. That's still because that's the nature of soaps. You can't just automatically be like, okay, cut to. Unless they decide to do a time jump again, which would be interesting, maybe. But
and a lot of viewers now, a lot of these viewers now,
which would be, but then they complain about that.
Yeah, no, it's just like the complaining. You can't. Come on.
Oh, I also see people like, this storyline's been going for 6 months. When's it gonna stop? I'm just like, 6 months. Oh, that's a long storyline. Okay. Yeah. These people are not. They don't know. These youngins.
Yeah. Make them laugh, make them cry, make them wait.
We were spoiled.
We could go on and on with this conversation, and maybe at some point we will.
Or Vinny's like, but I'm tired.
But yeah, we've been at it for an hour and a half. I want to thank the 91 people currently watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Definitely like the video. If you like it, tell a friend. If you hate it, tell an enemy. But either way, definitely interact with the comments because it helps our engagement, and hit that subscribe button. But we're out of time for tonight. Donald, where can everybody find you? I want to thank you for coming on, but where can everybody find you on social?
Oh, thank you for inviting me tonight. It's been a pleasure. I've had so much fun with you. I could be found all on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. My handle at Twitter is Donald Jr. Peoples. It's Donald Jr. Peoples on Twitter, but I can be found Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the Blue Sky. I can be found over there as well.
All right, fantastic. Kim, where can everybody find you?
So I'm Misfit8690 on Twitter and a Little Misfit 52 over on YouTube. So feel free to check out my channel there because we be streaming some, you know, GateCrashers content as well as the
Dockside at
the Bay. Thank you.
Yeah, last week's episode.
I'm sorry, my brain wasn't there just yet. My brain will be there tomorrow night.
Last week's episode, Dockside at the Bay, did not go up to your YouTube, but that was more along the lines of there was not enough storage on StreamYard to air the pre-recorded. Okay. But it'll be back this week.
But feel free to check out my YouTube anyway if you're so inclined.
And Angela, where can everybody find you?
Well, soon to be at parade.com, but also on Twitter at Brooklyn74. Also there on Instagram, Facebook, yada, yada, yada. And pettyprattle.com, which is my soap and entertainment website. And we are looking for writers. So if anybody wants to write, message me, DM me. And yes, we need to do our thing, Kim, in the next few days, hopefully, to do our thing. Vinny writes for it. You know, we're going to get this bad boy going off. I don't have a non-compete, thank goodness, so I can still do my site and build it up. Awesome. And the parade job gives us a lot more context for the other one, too, and for this. And it's going to be great. We're so excited.
Very cool.
For everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic news for Angela. Huge congratulations. And for me, you can find me on Twitter and Facebook, Vinny Suds. You can find on Twitter at Suds Media. Go to suds-media.com for all your stuff regarding Suds News and Dockside at the Bay and multiple other things. I am going to work on getting Gate Crashers up there as well. YouTube.com/@Suds-Media. Like I said, hit that subscribe button and notification bell and just like our videos. Either way, we are out of time, folks. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern for Gate Crashers one more time. For Angela, for Kim, and our special guest Donald, I'm Vinny. We'll see you next week as we crash through the gates of Fairmont Crest. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.